My name is Ifeoluwa Johnson, and I'm the founder and CEO at HealthTracka. My story for starting HealthTracka actually is a personal tragedy where I got the call one of the days that my dad had passed. And it was one of those unbelievable moments where he wasn't sick, he wasn't ill, he basically just woke up one day and slumped. And it wasn't until the doctor told us that he's had hypertension and diabetes for so long that we realized that he had an illness that easily could have been treated if we diagnosed it early. And that led me to thinking we cannot live and continue to behave like this is not a real problem. Non-communicable diseases are one of the biggest killers in sub-Saharan Africa, and with the explosion of digital technology, I thought, you know what, this is the time to bring all my skills and expertise to fore and actually create platforms that allow people to access early diagnosis, book lab tests, book checkups, and do it on time before it becomes a problem. HealthTracka is an innovations company. That's what I like to call it, because we would always push the boundaries when it comes to innovation. And one of the innovations, and I remember very clearly when I started to tell people that I wanted to bring diagnostics to people at home, oh, we're going to send you a phlebotomist, we're going to send you self-sampling kits. People thought, oh, you know, technology people have come again. But I just strongly believed that we have to try and create new ways to access healthcare and make it easy and convenient and accessible for people. So at the beginning it was tough, and I remember for some of those early days I would call every single person on my phone book, on my contact, and like, I want you to do this test, I'm going to send someone to you, or do you prefer self-sampling kits, until, you know, it just began to get more mainstream in some way. Nowadays, it's not common where people just come on HealthTracka.com and order a lab test and say, oh, I don't want to leave home, and they know for sure that they will get their results when their blood is being taken. The hardest part of running healthcare business in Nigeria is just the cultural behavior and the consumer behavior, because typically as Nigerians, we wait until we can't take it anymore. That's when we go to the hospital. So we go to the pharmacy and say, oh, you know, I have a headache. And then just give me paracetamol. Oh, you know, I think it's malaria, and then just give me anti-malaria. But what is causing? What's the root cause analysis? And that's why when you go to an hospital, the first thing a doctor would do is ask you to do a test, because it is that diagnostics that tells you what the real problem is. So one of the hardest bits is actually convincing people that, no, don't just take anti-malaria drugs because you feel like it. Don't just take antibiotics because you feel, oh, it's an infection. In fact, there are problems and challenges around resistance to drugs because we're abusing those drugs. So I would say the biggest challenge is just changing that behavior, changing that pattern that we currently have. Being a business owner in Africa in general is a kettle of fish. Being a female founder is just taking it to the next level. I remember the conversation I was having with an investor at the beginning of starting HealthTracka and raising funds, and he asked me, a question, a very funny question. He said, Ife, are you married? So I said, yeah, I'm married. Do you have kids? I said, yes, I have 2 of them. And he looked back and he's like, so how are you going to manage this? And I thought, you would never ask a married man this. It's just insane, right? But that's just like a bit of what happens when you show up. People just underestimate you, they underestimate your capacity. And I always say that on some level it's a good thing that you're underestimated, because nobody sees you coming. They just see you do. They just see you show up and just get things done and execute. So being a female founder, you will face a lot of discrimination, and sometimes it's not very apparent. Sometimes you get home and realize, wait, what was that? Was that in my head? And sometimes there's so many. I say that the business landscape is a boys' club where just one night out with the boys, all the conversations, all the deals are closed, and then you're walking in the next morning and realizing there's no room for you in that sense. So you constantly have to manage people, show up, and just do more, because again, what do women do? You almost have to work 3 times as hard just to be taken seriously, just to get ahead. Unfortunately, that's the price we have to pay for being a woman. One of the biggest advice I'll give to female founders who are just starting out, or you're just looking to start a business, one is You can walk on water if you know where the stones are. You must find those stones. And those stones may be just a solid network of people who believe in you. It may be mentors. It may be just surrounding yourself with people who will not allow you to forget that you can do this. It would be finding allies, finding sponsors, finding investors at the early stage who will hold you. We talk about how there's peer mentorship, and sometimes there's managing help as well. People who will ensure that you do not fail. Everyone, you can walk on water if you know where the stones are. Find your stones and you will walk on water. It's interesting. I think I made my first million about almost 10 years ago now. I was in paid employment and I had a side also. I was doing travel packages for people, and I thought, of course, again, it's interesting that I didn't even travel outside of the country at that time, but I thought, what, I had a lot of people who were traveling. I learned the skill, learned how to book flights, package tours. I think within my first year I made my first million. If I had a magic wand, one key thing that I want to fix in healthcare would be research. I think that research in healthcare for Africans especially has been underfunded, underestimated for so long. We are sitting on gold. We're sitting on information that can transform how our body reacts to drugs, to medications, to everything. We need to accelerate the ideas, the research that is happening in our academia, in the clinics, to get to bedside, to get to clinical trials. Only 2% of Black people are actually even involved in any clinical trials across the world. We need to be researching healthcare in Africa to understand how our bodies react to the different cultural, environmental, and all the factors that actually helps us respond better to treatment and care.